The next part of chapter 14, we're still going to be using the sequence theft unexpected, and we're going to be looking at combining tracks using a blend mode and adjusting alpha channel transparencies. So we now want to replace our existing PNG here, and it wants us to replace it with unexpected layered PSD. So we need to find that item over here in our project panel. All right, so it's not in the theft unexpected shots. It's actually up here in the graphics folder. And if you can't see the whole name, you just need to expand out the name there and you'll be able to find it. So here's theft unexpected layered PSD. So to replace our current PNG with this one, you'll want to hold Option on your Mac or Alt on your Windows computer. And I'm going to hold down that button, left click, and drag on top of here and let go. So it has now replaced the clip that I had. But the other neat thing about the way that we just replaced this from our project panel, notice our keyframes maintained the stuff. So if you're replacing something, A for B, just changing the footage or a graphic out, you can maintain all the work that you've done by using that method. So it was Option on the Mac or Alt when you clicked and dragged and dropped your clip onto there. All right, next up, it wants us to go into the effects control panel and check out our opacity controls and browse through the blend mode options. So make sure this clip is highlighted, come up here, and it wants us to just pick some different ones. You can look at multiples. The book is telling me to choose lighten. So as you can see here, part of this image disappeared. And I know this one's going to be hard to grasp for a while. But basically, when you tell it to lighten in the blend mode, a pixel that is visible only if it's lighter than the pixel behind it. So if the pixels behind it were darker, you'll be able to see the ones on top. However, if the pixels over here where this nice bright white paper was, those kind of get shrunk away. So each of these blend modes are going to work differently with the equation as far as light and dark pixels. And you'll have to mess with them to see which one you want for any of your results. But this was just demonstrating one specific blend mode and how it interacted. And of course, when the book says we're done, go back to normal. So image is back to the way it was. All right, so now wherever text exists, pixels generally have 100% opacity, and where there's no text, pixels usually have a 0% opacity. So this area is 0%, this area is 100%. If something had a drop shadow or a glow around it, they're going to have some sort of value in between. So this edge might have something that's a little bit different because it's not 100 and it's not 0. The next thing the book also wants us to do is locate the theft unexpected layered PSD file in the project panel. So over here, we found it earlier, and it wants us to right click the clip and choose modify. So right click, we are going to find modify up here towards the top, and then it's going to say interpret footage. So this one right here. Okay, we get a lot of panel information, and it wants us to find that soft transparent images areas are blocky. So if the edges and stuff become blocky in this here image, we can choose to click on one of the buttons, and it's right here. It's already on. So that one you want to have turned on, but that will help if stuff is poorly rendered, and it'll help pre-multiply the alpha and compare the results. So that's a good one to have on. It also says try selecting ignore alpha channel, so we can click that. And then it says invert alpha channel and compare the results. So I think we're going to have to go back into this more than once. So we'll say okay and see what happens. All right, so ignore alpha channel basically created a black background for us. So not our desired goal at this point, but that's what that one does. So I'll come back into my file, come back up to modify, and then interpret footage. So I will unclick ignore alpha channel. Let's see what the next one was. Invert alpha channel. So here we go. We'll choose that one and say okay. So basically we flipped what we had. So whatever was there solid before is now see-through, and the part that was see-through is now solid. Again, not really the results that I would like, but that is a way to manipulate these here alpha channels. So you'll come back up to modify, interpret footage, and we want to set it back to this here, and then you could do the pre-multiplied alpha that I was talking about before. This here should help with the edges, and we'll say okay. So there's our file. Our edges should be nice and clean. And that's it for understanding how the alpha affects in those settings. Next up, we will be looking at color keying a green screen shot.